Let's get started with our first news. Merab is not happy with Corey Sandhagen right now. In the lead up to their fight this weekend, Sandhagen dropped a new skit on Instagram that clearly didn't sit well with Merab. The Georgian fighter jumped into the comments and said, "I don't like your jokes anymore." That one line sums up how much the trolling is starting to get under his skin. Sandhagen's skit was the typical Corey style, lighthearted, mocking, and meant to stir the pot before fight night. In it, he painted this strange scenario where he and other top bantamweights, like Sean O'Malley, Petr Yan, Song Yadong, and even Merab, are all living together as roommates. According to the skit, the whole setup is just pure chaos. Corey joked that they had trouble even getting Song into the mix because, as he said, "We don't really have a lot of Chinese friends, so we had to go with a Vietnamese guy instead." That line alone showed the type of tongue-in-cheek humor Corey leans on, poking fun at the little details. From there, things just got weirder. He claimed that all MMA fighters, especially wrestlers, are terrible at every other sport. The skit showed them outside, failing miserably at simple games. One moment had Corey shouting, "Yo, can you hand me that, dude? Can you just hand me the ball? Why are you so weird?" That's when he started going in on Yan, calling him not just weird but borderline creepy. According to the bit, living with Yan sucks because of how odd his personality is. Then the spotlight shifted to Merab. Corey described him as a fun guy, but admitted he doesn't understand a single word he says. The impression was exaggerated, but Corey doubled down, saying Merab constantly wakes everyone up and, in one shocking punchline, suggested that Merab jerks off a lot. To cap it all off, Corey ended the skit by yelling, "Yo, Merab, it's your turn to cook, dude. We're starving." Clearly, this skit was meant as comedy, but judging by Merab's response, the humor didn't land. What was funny to Corey came off as straight-up disrespect to Merab. Now, the fight buildup has taken on an even sharper edge, with Merab stepping into the cage feeling like the jokes have gone way too far. Move on to another news. Magomed Ankalaev has sent a warning to Alex Pereira ahead of their highly anticipated rematch at UFC 320. Pereira's initial run as the light heavyweight champion was short-lived, as Ankalaev claimed the belt at UFC 313 in March. That fight went the full distance, with Ankalaev grinding his way to a unanimous decision victory. Now, Pereira has been tapped for an immediate rematch, and the stakes couldn't be higher. In a new promotional video released by the UFC, Ankalaev made his intentions crystal clear. He stated, "This rematch isn't a chance for Alex to redeem himself. It's a chance for me to finish him." Strong words from the current champ, who believes his reign at the top of the division has only just begun. For Ankalaev, UFC 320 is not about defending what he already earned. It's about making a statement. Pereira, however, doesn't seem rattled at all. The former champ fired back in the same video, insisting that Ankalaev failed to do what he promised in their first fight. Pereira said, "People kept saying he'd take me down and dominate me on the ground, but that didn't happen because he couldn't do it. Before our first fight, he said he was going to do all these things, and he did nothing. The truth is, he doesn't deserve to be where he is." Seriously, he's not an exciting fighter. Those words show Pereira is entering this rematch with plenty of confidence and the belief that he can reclaim the belt. If Pereira does manage to get the job done at UFC 320, the possibility of a rubber match looms large. But the division isn't short on contenders either. Carlos Ulberg is pushing hard for his chance at the strap after what he did to Dominic Reyes this past weekend. Ulberg didn't waste time, making his intentions known. Following his victory, he revealed that he told Hunter Campbell he's ready to serve as the backup fighter for UFC 320's main event. Ulberg stated, "I told Hunter I'm prepared to be a backup for next week. Fly me to Vegas and I'll be there. I'm not going to eat or drink anything today. I'll spend some time with my family, and if needed, I'll step in for that title fight." That level of hunger and commitment proves the light heavyweight division is heating up fast, with plenty of names chasing gold. Move on to another news. Merab says that 90% of his upcoming fight with Corey Sandhagen will be striking. This statement has caught a lot of people off guard because, let's be honest, nobody really believes Merab is going to leave his world-class wrestling behind in the locker room at UFC 320. He's built his reputation as one of the best grapplers in the sport, a cardio machine who can push a relentless pace and drown opponents with takedowns. The general consensus is that when fight night comes, Merab will go back to what he does best: taking Corey down again and again. But Merab continues to insist that won't be the case. In fact, he's been repeating over and over that he's looking to showcase his hands. Speaking in a recent interview with Shaquille Majuri, Merab once again doubled down. He said, "I'm planning to strike with Corey Sandhagen. I'm looking to knock him out, so we'll see." That kind of talk has only fueled the back and forth, with Sandhagen basically calling it BS, saying there's no way Merab is going to ignore his bread and butter. When pressed further, Merab explained that his striking has become a major focus in this camp. He emphasized that he's been putting in the work, sharpening his boxing, and preparing to stand with Corey. And when asked if his coach John Wood would be upset about him shelving the wrestling, Merab quickly dismissed the idea. "John Wood, whatever I do, he will support. So I don't think he'll be mad. Listen, we're really working on my hands. That's what I'm working." Merab pointed out the obvious as well. The fight starts standing. For him, that's reason enough to believe most of the action will play out on the feet. The fight starts standing, and I think 90% of the fight will be striking. Those words have given fans plenty to debate. Because while Merab has shown improvements on the feet in the past, it's his grappling that has carried him to the top of the bantamweight division. Corey, on the other hand, is one of the most creative and dangerous strikers in the entire UFC. If Merab truly does abandon his wrestling, he's stepping directly into Sandhagen's world, where Corey thrives with volume, range, and unpredictable movement. Whether this is genuine strategy from Merab or clever mind games ahead of UFC 320, one thing is certain, the fight just got even more intriguing. Move on to another news. Conor McGregor is back in the headlines, but this time it's not because he's negotiating with the UFC. Instead, Conor revealed he's actually negotiating with the White House itself about his long-awaited Octagon return. For months, Conor has been teasing fans that he plans to fight on the UFC's White House card next year. Naturally, everyone assumed that meant he was in talks with the UFC brass, like Dana White and the matchmakers, back to finalize the deal. But as it turns out, things are a lot different than expected. When asked recently about the status of his return, Conor shocked fans with his answer. He said, "I'm not negotiating with the UFC on behalf of myself for this fight like usual. I'm negotiating with the United States of America on behalf of Ireland for this fight." So it is a peculiar one, but President Donald Trump and the administration have been fully supportive and backing, and I cannot wait to put on a show. That statement alone set social media on fire, as it isn't every day that a UFC fighter claims to be in direct talks with the US government about a fight. Conor also made it clear he expects to be paid big for this historic event. Through his social media channels, he relayed that he wants a guaranteed $100 million for the bout. On top of that, he said he also wants 100 US golden visas for himself, his family, and close friends. Those demands aren't just about money. They show Conor is looking to leverage his global star power into something far greater than a typical fight contract. This all comes at a time when the UFC itself has remained relatively quiet about the logistics of the White House card. While Conor is loudly pushing for what he wants, including an unprecedented payday and immigration perks, the organization hasn't revealed whether negotiations are moving forward in the way he describes. Still, with the former champ's track record of making the impossible possible, fans are paying close attention. For Conor, this is more than just another fight. It's a chance to make history on the biggest stage imaginable. If his demands are met, UFC's White House card could turn into one of the most unique and lucrative events in combat sports. Move on to another news. The UFC has finally revealed how they actually pick locations for their events, and it turns out it's not just about the fighters on the roster or fan demand. After UFC Perth, executive Dave Shaw spoke openly about the factors that influence the decision. While many people assumed Australia hosts so many cards simply because of the strong wave of Australian talent, Shaw explained that government involvement and subsidies play a massive role. Shaw was asked directly about whether financial incentives from local governments impact decisions like returning to Perth. His response was clear. Yeah, it plays a major factor. It's a big part of it. It's about the financial commitment as much as it is about the support from the government in the promotion, assisting us wherever we go. He also added that this is not unique to Australia. The UFC maintains government partnerships around the world, including places like the UAE, Singapore, Baku, Macau, and Shanghai. What's even more interesting is that despite the UFC lowering ticket prices in the final days due to slow sales, the event still set a new gate record for a fight night card in Australia. That kind of success highlights why the promotion continues to work closely with governments. It creates security for the UFC while boosting tourism and local economies. Shaw was also asked if fans can expect the UFC to return to Australia in February, which had been heavily rumored. He avoided giving a direct confirmation, but promised that the UFC would hold multiple events in Australia next year. On top of that, he revealed that New Zealand may soon become a bigger player. Reports suggest the country is preparing financial incentives to attract large-scale UFC events, and that could mean another card in Auckland down the line. For the UFC, the formula is simple: strong fighters, passionate fan bases, and government backing. That combination ensures the promotion can continue to expand globally while delivering big shows in markets that are willing to support them. Move on to another news. Paddy Pimblett has given his take on the lightweight division, and surprisingly, he believes Arman would be a tougher fight for him than the reigning champion Ilia. While most people see Ilia as the biggest challenge at 155 pounds, Pimblett has a different perspective. Ilia has been on an absolute tear, knocking out Alexander Volkanovski, Max Holloway, and Charles Oliveira in devastating fashion. After finishing Oliveira at UFC 317, Ilia even went face-to-face with Pimblett inside the octagon, teasing a potential clash for the belt. But despite the hype around that moment, Pimblett doesn't think Ilia would be his most difficult opponent. Speaking with El Doberdan MMA, he explained, "I think stylistically, Arman is a tougher fight than Ilia. He's more of a proper lightweight. I think he's got better grappling than Ilia. Ilia has better striking. Yeah, but I just think stylistically, for me, styles make fights. Everyone fights each other different, and I think Arman will be a tougher fight for me." Those comments caught attention, especially since Ilia himself recently admitted that he actually views Pimblett as a tougher fight for him than Arman. Paddy has been riding a hot streak, coming off a big TKO win over Michael Chandler at UFC 314. He originally thought he'd need at least one more win before getting a shot at the belt, but his ongoing rivalry with Ilia has pushed him right into the title conversation. And if that fight does happen, Pimblett has no doubts about the outcome. "I can see so many ways that I finish him," he said. "Everyone thinks that on the feet, it would be a one-sided fight. I can see myself knocking him out with kicks and knees and elbows. I'm not going to do what Charles did and come out and have a boxing match with him, because I know he's a very good boxer. I respect his hands. I respect him as a fighter. He's very good. But once I get on top of him, he wouldn't get back up. He wouldn't be able to. I'd elbow him that many times that he looks like the Elephant Man." Pimblett added that fighting him would bring something new out of Ilia. "That's the thing. When I fight him, he's never fought with emotion before. He goes into every fight calm and calculated. With me, I'm already in his head. He's not going to fight me like he fights everyone else. He's going to try and take my head off, and he's going to get his head took off in the process." Move on to another news. More details have now emerged following the shocking Wanderlei Silva altercation over the weekend. One of the most viral and disturbing moments came when Silva, a true legend of MMA, was viciously knocked out. Not during the fight itself, but during the chaotic post-fight brawl that unfolded inside the boxing ring. The incident stunned fans around the world, both because of Silva's status in combat sports and the bizarre, violent way the situation escalated. It all started during an exhibition boxing match between Silva and Acelino Freitas. The fight ended abruptly when Silva was disqualified for repeated fouls, specifically 3 separate headbutts. That alone already made headlines, but things spiraled out of control after the referee waved it off. Suddenly, a wild melee broke out inside the ring, and Silva was dropped cold in the chaos. At first, nobody was sure who had actually landed the punch that knocked out Silva. But according to a new report from MMA Fighting, the man responsible was none other than Acelino's son, Rafael Freitas. This revelation only added more controversy to an already outrageous scene. Speaking after the event, Acelino Freitas shared his side of the story. When the fight ended, the referee disqualified Wanderlei for the 3 headbutts he hit me with, and then his coach went after me and punched me. He really hurt me. Wanderlei, the fight was between you and me. It had nothing to do with your team. If you headbutted me, cool. I don't care. But unfortunately, your team cowardly entered the ring with your son, and everything got out of control. The comments from Freitas shed more light on just how chaotic the brawl was, with multiple people storming the ring and violence breaking out from all sides. The fact that Silva ended up being knocked out in the middle of it has made this story one of the most talked about moments in combat sports this week. For fans, it was a sad reminder of how quickly things can spiral from competition into something far more dangerous.